Hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. Spencer Love here with, yes, another one of my favorite professional wrestlers, Nicole Savoy, the Queen of Suplexes, the Sacramento Suplex Machine, as ever so eloquently coined by Veda Scott. It's great to have you on. I was lucky enough, and the only time to this point I've been able to watch you wrestle live was at the Summit in 2019. I'm late
Wow.
to the party by most standards, but I am a very, very big fan of your work. I am psyched to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Like I said, just woke up, so trying to get my bearings. I need caffeine.
That's exactly what I'm getting in here. There's a reason that the big mug came out this morning rather than like the shot of coffee mug, I suppose. But again, it's great to have you on. It was great to see you, like I mentioned, in 2019. It was a really cool starting point, obviously, going up against one of my favorites in Nicole Matthews, but really getting to get a glimpse of you throughout the pandemic, having a lot of time to watch a lot of pro wrestling. It's been very, very cool to get caught up with you. And the nice thing is, you've been able to wrestle a lot more than most individuals have throughout the pandemic. Of
Yeah.
course, the AEW women's tournament, reuniting with Big Swole, Little Swole. It was great for me to get to see. Maybe just take me through the experience and getting the opportunity to work with Swole again.
Well, it was quite the experience. What people don't seem to understand is like I read the comments on Twitter where they're like, "Oh, well, Nicole's not like that. She doesn't have to act that way." And I'm like, "But the big swole, little swole thing, that's just us, like on a regular day basis. Like
Yeah.
we're that outside of the ring, just goofy and silly for no reason." So to bring all of that shenanigans, or as we like to put it, swole nanigans, into the ring, like that was a lot of fun. Like I loved tagging with her. Like that
Mhm.
was just the best. I had a good time. Had a good time. Got a couple of suplexes in, Yeah, got it out there.
One or two to say the least. Hey, now I
Yeah.
do have to ask, how many official members by your count are there in the Swole family? Because like there's
Um,
yourself, there's Mercedes Martinez,
mhm,
Shayna's in there, Heidi
mhm.
Lovelace, I believe is. But again, I'm not going to try and name them all because I know I'll miss someone, and I can't afford to get
Uh,
heat.
the way I describe the Swole family is it's kind of like that barbecue where you show up and you don't know how many cousins, aunts, and uncles you have. Like they'll go, "Oh man, that's your cousin from so and so side of the family," and you're like, "Wait, I have a cousin from that side of the family? I didn't even know." So I can't really tell you how many members are in the Swole family. They just kind of grows every day. Like, I mean, we got
We'll
pets
figure out a
now.
number eventually. Indetermined is fine. It's
Yeah.
always completely fine. But of course, Big Swole, Lil Swole are the two, I guess, fulcrums of it, for lack of a better word. What is it you love working with her? To phrase that
um,
poorly.
I think it's the fact that like we feed off of each other. Like everything that like I'll do or say, she, like it amplifies. So like it's almost kind of like throwing a pass back to like one another where it's just kind of like, okay, all right. And then she feeds off of that, and then her energy gets big, and then I feed off of her energy, and it's just like we're on the same page, and then
Yeah.
a lot of energy.
It's organized cacophony is the way I've always
Pretty
described it. Is
much.
like
Yeah.
it's very unplanned, but it
Mhm.
seems to work. It's a good approach for a lot of things, I would have to say. When was the first time you guys tagged together? Like, how did it all come
Yeah.
about between the two of you guys?
So our we first tagged in Shimmer.
Mhm.
Um, this was before the pandemic. I can't really tell you the date because I don't remember. I get dropped off my head a lot, so trying to remember dates like back at from like before the pandemic. I'm like the timeline's a little mixed up.
The before
But
times.
yeah, it's the before time. So we did our first time tagging with each other was actually at Shimmer, and it
Mhm.
was crazy because we were already like the Swole family before we started tagging. The Swole family is like dates back to Queens of Combat when I first started wrestling for Queens of
Yeah.
Combat, and that's a long
Cool.
time ago. And so Shimmer was like, "Hey, we have this great idea to bring the Swole family as a tag team." And it's like you take two individual wrestlers, and we're like, I mean, that's great, we feed off of each other, but we don't really have tag moves. But you know
Yeah.
what? Okay, we'll make it work. So Shimmer was our first time.
I want to dig into Shimmer a lot, but like it's a very generic question, I suppose. But like I think most people would associate you and your professional wrestling as like a Shimmer talent, for lack of a better way to put it. How cool is it for you that you've talked about Shimmer being one of your personal goals, being a champion in Shimmer, being one of your personal goals, that you are so closely associated with a promotion that like quite literally, like I describe it as like has had the Pokemon deck of women's wrestlers. Anyone has been there at some point, right?
hmm I mean, for me, Shimmer is always going to be a home to me, no matter where I go. If it wasn't for Shimmer, like I wouldn't be where I'm at. I mean, yes, there's other places I have wrestled for that gave me a platform, but it was really Shimmer that I was able to branch out, and then being able to be like a champion and the longest reigning champion, even though I think Kimberly is probably longest reigning right now.
Yeah.
Because of offensive.
I was gonna say, like, how does that all play into pro wrestling? Is like, do you like not count the pandemic days, or are we gonna have a lot more longest reigning champions at this point?
You know what? I honestly could not tell you. Like, I don't know. Are we gonna count the pandemic? I don't know. I mean, if we do, then hey, she beat me longest reigning. So congratulations. but but like I said, like Shimmer is always gonna be like my home, my forever home. I love Shimmer. Like I'll do anything and everything for Shimmer. My heart. Oh, and
Do
I
you
just
have
like
any more?
terrorizing. Oh, good. Sorry.
Well, no, that was well put, because it sort of answers the question, I guess, in an odd way. But like when you have won pretty well every championship in the promotion, you've wrestled against, again, the best of the best. Do you have any more goals? Is it just you love showing up and wrestling for Shimmer, or what sort of do you see in the future for you there? Is it go back after your longest reigning title?
Uh, so I know like there are girls in wrestling that they set goals from themselves. Like I'm gonna work here, I want to wrestle here, I want to be this, I want to be that. Like my goals have always been to wrestle for Shimmer. I mean, I guess my next goal is to be like Nikki 3 belts or three-time champion, like hold tag titles. That way I can say I held all the belts in Shimmer. I don't know. Maybe I have to find a new tag team partner. I don't know, but honestly, like I've just always kind of been wherever wrestling takes me.
Mhm.
So I mean, I guess it's just wherever my career goes from there. To be honest with you.
Now, I do have to ask, does that maybe take you back to Ring of Honor here in the near future? I know you were a big part of them, albeit it's kind of tough to say a big part heading into the pandemic when it was only the few months from the
I
time that they really
know.
started to build towards the tournament. But
It's
is that maybe a goal of yours to get back into that?
yes.
Have you had any talks? Can you talk about that if you had? Or
I have not had talks. I would love to return back to Ring of Honor. I know that. Oh, I'm so sorry for my phone. um, um, I know that. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
don't worry about it. God forbid I've got a popular
I know.
person on the show.
Well, funny story before I get into the Ring of Honor thing. I play a lot of video games with like a lot of
Yeah.
different teams, even foreign teams. So my phone is always going off as far as video game related stuff goes, even with the foreign teams. So that probably should have put my phone on silent. But back on to Ring of Honor. Um, I would love to come and wrestle for them again. I had a really good experience, and I know that like back then there was a lot of stuff surrounding them, but like it's been nothing but like positive and like a really warm atmosphere, and everybody there has been like super helpful, and they have actual like meetings and briefings and safety meetings and stuff. So like it's so professional at Ring of Honor, and like I have nothing bad to say about them. Like I've
Mhm.
had a great experience so far, and like it's another locker room that I was able to come into, and I didn't feel awkward because everyone was just like they would walk up to me and say hello, and it was just like being around family basically. So
I don't know how much of an opportunity you've had to work with her, because I don't know how it would have lined up with everything last year, but how much of an influence has Maria Kanellis had on that end of things?
I honestly, like, I know that once she was announced as being a part of like their company, like I know that like she hit the ground running, and I would love to just get in on that and like meet her and stuff, because I mean it's crazy how much attention and stuff that she's brought to like,
Mhm.
Ring of Honor, and it's like I would love to be there,
Yeah. She's often talked, at least in the interviews recently that I've listened to, about like the next step, I guess, in the woman's evolution. I know it's
Oh
almost a
yeah.
cliche phrase by this point, but it almost being like more women getting into the
Mhm.
executive roles or stepping into that. Is that what you see as the next step, or where do you see the development of women's wrestling going? Just to give it a general landscape for you.
I don't know if I could see myself in an executive role, because I'm really bad at making decisions. Like they would be like, "What do we do with this?" And my answer would probably go, "Yes."
Hmm.
Like that's not an
Perhaps.
answer, but yes. um, but I definitely see it going in a really good direction, because it's creating a lot more opportunities, especially for girls who you didn't really know quite a lot about before the pandemic, and now you see their faces everywhere. Like perfect example is Hyan.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
her everywhere. Miranda, you see her everywhere. Roxy, I actually got to wrestle Roxy, and Roxy is just amazing. Like so,
Neat. She's one of those people that, like, again, I mentioned as far as you go, she's someone that I was almost late to the game on as well, but luckily enough, it's the one small, very, very small silver lining you can find to a pandemic. But you get to discover so many new
oh
wrestlers, and
yeah,
she's just so good.
yeah, and even like Trish Adora, like even
Yeah.
her, like it's just there. It's creating, now that it's like a huge portion of like, the girls are gone. It's like this new crop of female wrestlers that are up and coming that you see, and you're blown away at how like amazing they are. So it's like the pandemic hindered wrestling a little bit, but it created a lot more opportunities for a lot of these girls, and you see so many faces, and it's awesome. Like I'm a fan of a lot of their work. So.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a pivot, but when you've worked for promotions, excuse me, like Shimmer for so long, when you do shows like the Summit that are all female shows, in speaking to previous women and guests I've had on the shows, there's been a wide variety of answers about how much they enjoy being in those sort of shows. How do you feel about them?
I would say very competitive, like more competitive in the sense that like I love women's matches. Like I love to wrestle other women because
Yeah.
it pushes me and it makes me better, and I
Hmm.
learn a lot more with wrestling against another female competitor than I would a guy.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't mind like having intergender matches, but like there's something special about wrestling other women, and the fact that both of you want to be better and have a better match than the men on the card. So like I personally like women's matches more, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Does that
Yeah, but like it's again
make sense?
it's again interesting because a lot of individuals I've spoken to, they've almost liked wrestling intergender because they don't get that opportunity as often, so they feel like they learn more. But I'm just throwing it out there as a guy who's only ever watched wrestling. I can't ever speak to what anyone can or can't learn in the ring because I ain't ever done
Yeah, but like I mean,
it.
but just like think about it, like when you see intergender. I have nothing against intergender matches. I mean, I wrestled Timothy Thatcher, so like
Holy crap.
yeah,
That's one, as when we're done with this, there's the old YouTube link that you need to send me if you can.
yeah. um, so like I have nothing against intergender matches, but like when you have two amazing like female wrestlers, or wrestlers as we like to call ourselves, and we don't like the whole titles, but like and they have an amazing match, it's just something special and really cool, and it's memorable,
Mhm.
like it it's just it's a hard feeling to describe, but like I definitely feel that like women are capable of putting on amazing matches just like the men are, and like when you get two really awesome girls together that put on like this banger of a match, you're just like wow, mind blown. So
I love it. That's a great answer. What would be then the one Nicole Savoy match that you would recommend if somebody hasn't checked you out at this point?
uh my match with Madison Eagles.
Great call.
Yes.
Great call. She's again someone that I've been lucky enough to discover through this time.
I
So
would
good. So
definitely
good.
say either her or my matches with LuFisto. So
You're hitting me right in the heart with just a Canadian icon. Come on. You've done your research on my favorites.
Funny story. When I found out that I was wrestling LuFisto, she was actually, her and Heidi Lovelace were my first two matches in Shimmer.
I was gonna say, because they were both on 67, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
and I was so excited to wrestle Heidi, but I was very scared and intimidated to wrestle LuFisto. Like I legit was throwing up before my match.
I really can't blame you for that. And like having been lucky enough to chat with her, it's one of those nice instances where you don't have to be once you've spoken, but like you see some of the stuff she's done and you got every right to be terrified.
Mm-hmm. Like they were like, Savoy, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Excuse me. And I would run straight to the bathroom and throw.
Oh man. Like not even like a little bit nervous. Like that's 0 to 60 real quick.
Yes. And then I remember before I went out there and Allison Danger looked at me and she's like, so you get to wrestle LuFisto. Don't fuck up. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you say that to somebody before they go out there?
Oh my God. I love the show you did with her too, though. Like she's absolutely a fantastic podcast host.
Oh, I love Allison Danger, Mama Danger. Fine like wine. That's what
I
I
was
call
going to
her.
say she's also a Swole Family member, if my math's correct.
Yes. She is an interesting time, but in a good way. Like I love her so much.
I feel obligated to ask for a story if that's the way you're gonna put it.
So when I first wrestled for Shimmer, it's another first time for Shimmer. And I stepped off the plane. The first two people that I met that I was riding to the hotel with was Allison Danger and Jessica Havoc.
Cool.
Now, they didn't know who I was. Allison Danger has never seen me wrestle before. And I remember us going to, I think it was like Denny's. And she looks at me and I look at her and she goes, so you're from California, huh? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, Sarah came from California and she's an amazing wrestler. Then there's cheerleader Melissa. And then there's, and then she starts naming off with like Candice LeRae and Davina, she's Bailey now, and she's like, I've never seen you wrestle before. So good luck. And I was just kind of like, oh God, like
short, sweet, and to the point, she seems like.
Like, thank you for basically saying I have a lot of big shoes to fill.
Well, in this guy's humble opinion, you have more than filled them. Like I said, it's biggest word I can possibly put on it is like if you're going to call anybody a Shimmer icon, you firmly fit in that category. It's great. Like there's no other way to put it. You've done a lot for not only that, but at least in my opinion, my personal enjoyment, which is all that really matters when it comes to what I love in professional wrestling. I do want to close it out, and I know it's a question that I'm sure you've been asked before, but coming out of the pandemic, we're almost at that point where we're back to normal, using the air quotes, because again, it's cliche to say. What are the goals for the near future? I know I asked about Shimmer, but let's talk about otherwise.
To hopefully get out more and wrestle some more, get back to that traveling schedule that I used to have. And I mean, that's pretty much it. The goal is just to hopefully try and wrestle more. I mean, during the pandemic, I've, basically been, at home hanging out, playing video games and, getting into other hobbies and stuff. But coming out of it, definitely would say I'd like to wrestle more, wrestle in new places, wrestle new faces and stuff. I mean, it started with wrestling in Texas with, against Roxy, and all that made me do was go, yeah, I need to maybe brush up on some stuff, maybe, learn a little bit more, so
I was going to say like that proverbial ring rust might be there, is lack of a better way to put it.
Just a little bit.
That's one of those phrases I always feel, again, weird saying, because as someone who's never wrestled, I should not be talking about ring rust.
It's just it kind of sucks because it's wrestling schools, it's like they're open, then the state says no, everything needs to shut down, it's not essential, and then schools shut down. And then like I invested in buying a wrestling mat for my room, so like all I've had was this mat to roll around on.
Having a tough time running the ropes on it.
Yeah, I'm like, can't quite run the ropes in the room. There's no ropes. There's only walls. So.
Ow.
Pretty much.
So. I've absolutely loved having you on the show today, Nicole, and thank you very, very much for the time. I do have one, like, I guess the random question you can't fit into the story of the interview. What's your favorite variation of suplex? I
like the tiger suplex or my half Nelson suplex that I do for my finisher.
Beauty. Had to ask. Of course, as the Sacramento suplex queen, I had to ask. Thank you very much again for the time. Of course, people should be paying attention to you, but if they're not already, please plug your social media where people can keep track of you in the near future.
Well, there is obviously my Twitter and my Instagram. Those are the only two social media platforms I have right now. Well, I take that back. I actually downloaded TikTok. It's the same handle, Nikki, the letter M, Savo, because I fell in love with TikTok videos, and that's like my morning routine. But yes, everywhere it's Nikki M, Savo. So.
I still haven't hit up TikTok yet. I'm almost at the point because there are enough videos that come through Twitter that I feel like I should just cut out the middleman. But I also feel like it acts as like a nice filter for the stuff I wouldn't want to watch, you know? So either way, eventually I'll make the jump. It's one of those things like Twitch where I look at it and I just feel older, but that's neither here nor there. I could complain about feeling old a lot longer, but we'll save that one for the next one. Nicole, thank you once again. It's been an absolute blast having you on the show. And friends, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe, all of the stuff you hear at the end of podcasts. You know what to do by this point. I don't need to plug it. I do need to once again thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.